Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here at the Del Mar College Fall Commencement Ceremony and to celebrate this grand occasion with you and your family. Here you are as graduates of Del Mar College, taking the first major step in pursuit of higher education. It is only right that we also acknowledge your family and friends tonight, since they too have helped you in making this day a reality. If the parents would please stand, and any significant others who have graduates here tonight, would you please stand and let us give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, parents, grandparents, family, and friends for tonight. I want to thank the staff of Del Mar College who persisted in getting me here tonight. As a matter of fact, I had a difficult time accepting this invitation. It was not because I did not want to be here or because I had other things to do. I knew in my heart that it was an honor being asked to speak to you, so please bear with me if I get nervous. The other reason I hesitated to speak here tonight was because my story is much like yours. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has had obstacles to overcome and difficult times. And let us not forget financial issues, or better yet, lack of finances. And despite all of these issues you and I have encountered, we all are still here and still seek a better way of life. I will tell you that my story, I will tell you that you are not alone. You are not alone when you feel rejected, or when your grant money ends, or when situations are hopeless. Please know that you are not alone. It will be those that will find solutions and who remain determined to overcome obstacles and stay focused that will reach their highest goals. My story begins in La Calle Torreon, on the west side of Corpus Christi, off Baldwin near Airport Road, also known as La Cuarenta. My father worked for Sam Cain Meatpacking Company all his life and has a high school education. My mother was born in Spain and did not finish high school. And needless to say, my first language was Spanish. I recall when my mother went to enroll me in public school, they assumed I knew no English and put me in the bilingual education class until the 2nd grade, when they finally figured out that I knew how to speak and write English. They didn't bother to ask me. If they did, they would have known that I had been going to a preschool my aunt taught since I was 2 years old. But that was fine. I gave everyone in my class the answers, and I had lots of friends. My parents provided for all our basic needs, and I do not recall ever needing or being without. I did know that we lived paycheck to paycheck, and as I witnessed my parents count the pennies to pay the bills and put food on the table. I was always a good student and made good grades and involved in several extracurricular activities. I graduated with honors from Roy Miller High School. Although I had the grades and I was in all the honor courses, somehow the high school counselor provided neither guidance nor encouragement to pursue higher education. We had to figure it out on our own. By then, the deadlines for all the colleges and universities had passed, grant applications deadlines too, ACT, SAT scores, I knew nothing about them. But somehow I was able to get accepted to Texas A&M College Station. I was able to obtain a school loan to help pay for tuition and living expenses. I was happy. It was a great school, but when reality set in, I began to realize that that school was not for me. It was truly overwhelming. The class sizes in the hundreds. I missed home terribly, and my grades were suffering. It was like nobody really cared. You were just a number. So I quit mid-semester. I felt like a complete failure. I never quit anything. I was ashamed to come home. I knew I was down, but I knew that I would not let this setback hold me back from continuing my education. In the spring semester, I enrolled at Del Mar College. It saved me. This school was perfect for me. I did very well and received my associate's degree in 1982. I also managed to save money and I made up my mind that I needed to go very far away to finish my undergrad degree. I had to prove to myself that I could be away from home and not be such a baby. So I went as far as I knew to go. I went to the University of Texas at El Paso. The best part is that all my credits from Del Mar College transferred, so that was good. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice in 1984. While in El Paso, I worked part-time for a female attorney who kept telling me to go to medical school and not law school. The more she told me not to go to law school, the more I wanted to become a lawyer. Well, I took the LACT, which is like the ACT or the SAT. To my dismay, my score was horrible. It was so bad, I thought no law school would accept me. I applied anyway to 3 schools. I could only afford to apply to 3 schools since each application was like $50 to $75 for just to apply. I was rejected immediately by UT Law School, then St. Mary's, and I said, good, I didn't want to go there anyway. But the last application was to South Texas College of Law in Houston. They had not rejected me, and they hadn't returned the application. I was so anxious that I could not sleep. One night, I decided to write a letter and tell them that the LACT score was not indicative of the kind of law student I knew I could be, and that my educational record spoke for itself. Did I mention that it was the longest letter I had ever written? Well, it seemed to me that it was. I think I even told them that I had every aspect of not only being a good law student, but also an excellent lawyer. Well, lo and behold, I received my acceptance letter. I was on my way to law school, but I still had to figure out how to pay for tuition, books, and living expenses. I applied for everything, grants, loans, anything I could, and I had enough to go. Okay, I'm in and I can pay for it, but I still had to be able to stay in. Let me tell you, law school was not easy. It was not easy for me. There is only one exam at the end of the semester. That is it. I didn't think it was possible for law professors to cover everything from day 1 to the last day of class on that exam, but they did. And of course, essay, you know. What you make on that final exam is your grade for the semester. Another thing, law books were expensive. I recall asking one of my criminal law professors if I could use one of the books I had used for undergrad. And he just looked at me and said, if I couldn't afford the books, then why was I in law school? I thought about what he said, and I used it to show him that I didn't need his book to pass his class, and I did. I did well in law school. I just had to realize that my days of making straight A's were gone, but I survived. What I did not know was that on my last semester of law school, I had no money. None. Zero. I just had enough to pay tuition and books, but nothing for living expenses. I thought that I would be the first homeless law student at South Texas College of Law. But in my desperation, I wrote another long letter to an organization to see if they could help me. They replied that they couldn't help me because they only assisted undergrad students and not postgrad students. But kindly enough, they referred me to another organization, so I wrote another letter. And they said no. They gave only to undergrad but not postgrad students, but they would make an exception for me. They gave me $900. That $900 made a huge difference in my life. It allowed me to finish law school. Finally, I obtained a doctorate of jurisprudence, which actually means nothing if you want to earn money. I had to have a license. I had to take the state bar exam. All my friends were taking the Barbary course. It's a course that prepares you to take the bar exam. Well, you guessed it, it costs money, which I did not have. I did manage to obtain a used copy to study on my own. After studying for the bar for months, I failed the exam. I was very disappointed, but I did not give up. I took it again and passed part of it and finally passed. It must have been all of the novenas and candles my mom had for me. But now I was a licensed attorney to take on, and I was ready to take on the world. I was hired by the Nueces County Attorney's Office. I started by representing victims of domestic violence. I learned a great deal. I then moved into civil litigation and juvenile prosecution, and finally to prosecuting misdemeanors. I had plenty of courtroom experience, so I was ready to try something else. I became an associate attorney in a law office. Then I decided to start my own office. When I started as a lawyer, you could count the female lawyers in this county with your two hands. There were not very many of us. I recall that some of the male judges were having a considerable hard time in deciding what our courtroom attire should be. Having been a solo practitioner for a while, an opportunity arose to run for judge. As in all things in my life, that too would not be an easy endeavor. I decided to take a chance and just try. If there was anybody who did not know what she was doing, it was me. But somehow my campaign started to gain momentum and people finally knew my name. My opponents, on the other hand, were not very nice to me, understandably so. Here was an unknown who did not come from the right part of town, who didn't go to the right schools or be in the right circles, and whom nobody knew. I just campaigned to people like you and me. I connected better to people by knocking on their door and introducing myself and asking for their vote. It was a very long campaign. I had a contested primary in the spring of 1996, then a runoff election right before summer, then another opponent in the fall for the general election. It was extremely exhausting. I think back and ask, how did I do it? I was a young mother. I was self-employed. I still had clients to represent, and I still had to show up for court. I know that I didn't do it alone. I had my family, my mother, and my husband who were always there for me. No one believed I would win, and it was told to me several times that there was no way I could make it happen, even into the last hours of election night. I was told that I would not win. The numbers were just not there. But I never let that stop me. I believed that all the hard work, determination, and the sheer force within me, and don't forget all the doors I knocked on, would not allow this to happen. I now have been serving you as judge of the 20th District Court for 12 years. That same effort and hard work instilled in me has been the same force in conducting court efficiently, fairly, and just for all. This is my story. I left out most of the gory details because my message is very simple. Nothing worth having comes easy. To be successful does not happen overnight. Tonight you have accomplished one step in your road to success. There will be more steps, more obstacles to overcome in order to reach your goals. Your education does not stop here, and it does not end tonight. There will be many reasons to quit and just accept mediocre. I'm here to tell you to dream big and keep that dream alive until you reach it. Just like President Obama said, this country was not founded by quitters. It was founded by strong-willed and determined individuals. When you quit your country. There were many times that I felt that I should give up, but I was determined not to. I had to complete the journey I set for myself. Despite all the obstacles before me, I was focused on my goal and did everything I could to make it possible to achieve it. As I wrote this speech, I was on a plane heading to Washington, D.C. to meet Congressman Ortiz and the Texas Congressional Delegation. I have submitted an application seeking the appointment to the U.S. District Court. At this time, I do not know whether I will be appointed or not, but as you can see, my story is not yet over. My journey continues just as yours does. So now you know, no obstacle is too great to stop you. Nothing should stop you from obtaining your goals. Do not depend on others to make this journey for you. It is up to you to work hard and up to you to make your story successful. I would love to someday hear your story of success, and as I stand here tonight, I know there will be hundreds of success stories here. Again, congratulations to each of you. Good luck in all of your endeavors, and I wish all of you much success. May God bless all of you, and I thank you for allowing me to be part of this very special occasion.